few minutes to join. Let's see.
Well, we are still live on the test stream, I guess.
Yes.
Good luck, Nazar. I'm going to go on mute now, so
It's
I
not the
don't mess
first
anything
time.
up. You're a pro at this.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of Developer Office Hours. Let's give a few minutes to give other folks a chance to join, and we'll get started. All right, I think it's time to get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the new edition of Developer Office Hours. For the second week in a row, we're going to host a workshop on the Space Acres contributions. So today on stage with me, I have our co-founder, Nazar. Nazar, thank you so much for joining us. And we also have
Absolutely.
Jim, head of ecosystem, and Pradeep is going to help us managing all the comments and moderating today's event. But first, let's start with a few exciting announcements. It's really amazing to share that our bounty board issues became one item smaller. Nacho has implemented the feature to open folders from the UI, which has now been included in the latest release. That was the day before yesterday. Thank you for your contribution, Nacho. We really appreciate it. And at the end of the month, you're going to get your well-deserved 200 USDC for your contribution. And we also know that Zolkis is working on another issue. Is working on supporting optional cleanup of conflicts and logs on Windows. I've seen some interesting discussion on GitHub, and hopefully it will soon be improved, merged, and included in the next release too. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And just a friendly reminder, if you want to work on one of the issues, head up to our issues board, which I'm going to drop a link in the YouTube chat in a second, and pick a task suitable for you. But there is more. Additionally, on one of the previous editions of Developer Office Hours, we invited you to work on DApps based on our EVM domain Nova. And we promised to shout out to every product built with the use of our EVM domain. And today is the day for Zolkis' dApp called submail.app, which allows sending a text message to any EVM address. It's a really cool idea and a great implementation. I personally give it a try, and it's super fun to send messages via the EVM domain. So feel free to give it a try and share your feedback with Zolkis in our developer channel. So yeah, huge shout out to Zolkis for your amazing dApp. And now it's time to start our workshop. So I'm giving the mic over to you, Nazar, who's going to lead the Space Acres contribution workshop.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hello, everyone. today you will get what you kind of asked for. There were requests last time to show the same thing on Windows. I'll try to do a speed run, and hopefully it will not take the whole stream and we will have time to do something else. But I just wanted to show that it is possible to set up everything on Windows and how to do it exactly, and also some workarounds for issues. So what I have on the screen, you will not see my cursor, but you should see everything else. We have Windows 11 that was just installed. I just installed some guest extensions for the virtualization, but outside of that, it's basically a stock Windows. And I will walk you through everything that's necessary to get to ability to run Space Acres. So there is a lot of ads everywhere. Apologies for that. First of all, we will go to Space Acres repository, and also we will need Rust, so we can just go to Rust RS. We will download this exe file, and we will start installing. So it says that we don't have Visual Studio installed, of course. It suggests to install, so we'll just pick one, and yes. And let it do its thing. Continue. It will do some downloads, installation. In the meantime, we have, as usual, two things we need to do. We need to prepare dependencies for Subspace to compile, and then for GTK4. This time I will start with GTK4. I will explain later why. In GTK4 repository for Rust, they have a book, just like last time, but this time we will go to those. And the Rust steps, the first one is recommended to install with Microsoft Visual C++ and stuff. Basically, we don't need this. I'm not sure why they mention it. We will need to install gvsbuild to actually compile GTK4 itself. So we'll follow to their documentation for now. The first thing they mention is to install Chocolately. That is basically a package manager like on Linux, which is nice and so much easier to deal with. Let's install this stuff in the meantime. In order to do that, we will need to open PowerShell as administrator. So we will click administrator, okay. And then we will paste this command that they have. This is community chocolately.org. I'm not sure why they say chocolately. I think it's a typo. Enter. It will download something and suggest to install it. Okay, it's doing something. Okay, so it should theoretically work. Let's close it and open again so it loads all of the environment variable changes. PowerShell. I'm making it can pin it. Start taskbar start. Let's open as administrator. Yes, and Choco command should be available. Great. The first step is done. This is still downloading. So the next thing, we will need a few things. We will need a Git, so we can clone the repo and do other things. We will need msys2. I'm not sure why they suggest you to install Python using an official installer. Since we have a nice package manager, we can use that as well. And they suggest to do it like with 3 commands. I can just do Choco install git msys2 and Python. We will need all of those 3 things. Yeah, we will accept all of the licenses, and then it will ask if we do want to proceed, and we will say A for yes to all, and it should be doing its thing. What about Visual Studio? Still working. Feel free to post questions in the meantime. It might take a few moments to download and install everything and compile. It will be a little bit longer journey than with Linux, but nothing too complex. Maybe someone can even go to our repositories later and update documentation, because we only have sections for Linux and macOS there, not for Windows. We mentioned what needs to be installed, but we don't actually have detailed instructions. Yeah, it's just error, doing something. It's so much nicer than downloading manually things from all around the internet and clicking lots of buttons. You can just say want get and it will give you get. Okay.
We've got a tip from Piroto as a YouTube comment. When Piroto is doing JDK development, he uses VS Code to remote development via SSH.
How do you run graphical applications in that case? Like I know how to forward X11 sockets into Docker container to run graphical application in the container, but how do you, like it's a graphical application, so I'm not sure how we would do that via SSH on Windows. That's interesting. Okay, so we have a few things that are necessary for the gvsbuild to compile, so we can proceed with that. We don't need, well, I guess we need to wait. We don't need to install Visual Studio because we will be installing it this way together for Rust. What is this? Okay, it's waiting. I guess we'll need to wait a little bit. What is this? Okay. By the way, you will see funny numbers. We have 20 gigabit internet. I saw like 80 gigabit when I was testing. It's clearly not true. I don't have that good internet. I wish I did.
A local network connection. So Kuroto has followed up about the remote development via Subspace deployment method is simpler. I believe it's feasible to directly guide the use of VS Code for SSH remote operations. The installation process for the Ubuntu GTK SDK is relatively easy.
Right, but here we want to compile Windows version. Okay, I'm not
course.
sure what this account is about. I will just... Why? Okay, just close. So we have Visual Studio, supposedly. Yes, we want to just install the default. Since we have Visual Studio, we don't need to install it here. We can just proceed as if we have everything. I'm not sure, again, why they do this complicated stuff, but basically what we need to do is pip install pipx. So we will open just a regular shell. We don't want to install it as administrator. So we should have pip install pipx. I guess we can add user. Does it work? It does. So yeah, I will diverge a little bit from the docs. And it says that there are some things like pipx installed in this path, and we need to add it to environment variables. So we'll copy that. Windows, it's strange. You just select this and then you right click and it copies. If you right click again, it will insert. I'm not sure why, but it is how it is for a very long time. We will go to settings and we will search for advanced system settings. There will be this legacy window. And in here we have environment variables. So what we need to do, we need to find path in user variables, add it, and we need to add this new path with scripts at the end for Python. So we do that, we click OK. We will leave this, we will need it later again. And this place where we were installing pipx, we can just close it and we will, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. We should have this command working. Great. So the next thing they suggest to do, I'm not sure why you need this thing. It's actually not necessary. We need pipx install gvsbuild. This is the thing that will build for us with some other stuff. So pipx install gvsbuild, and it will do its thing. We can look into our Rust installation in the meantime. Yep, it says Rust is installed, which is great. Just click enter, it closed itself. We have, yeah. So we have this thing installed. And now it again says that we need to take this path and add it to environment variables. So we will go back to this window and we will edit path again. We will add this thing in here, okay. And then we will go back to the documentation, and it basically says we can build GTK4. Again, since we changed the environment variables, we need to reopen our PowerShell. So we close and open it again. And we can use gvs build, build GTK4. I will go the next difficulty level. There is a library called rsvg that can be also compiled, that is necessary for the SVG icons to be rendered in the interface. Or like if you want to create a package, you will need that. So we will do that as well, but that will create issues, unfortunately. librsvg. By the way, there was libsvg, and it was written in C, I believe. They rewrote it in Rust, so librsvg is actually it will download a bunch of things. It will fail, load some other things. I will show you why, but we will fix it and we will move forward from there. This is the process that will take a little bit more time than usual. I guess in the meantime, we can clone the repository. So let's open another PowerShell. Git clone. We will take this repository. If you want to contribute, you will probably have SSH option here once you're logged in, but this is fine for now. Okay, and paste and let it clone. gvsbuild is still downloading stuff. Let's see what funny number for download speed we have. 20 gigabits. Nice. So while that is, this is what I was talking about. Basically, there is a confusing error in here. If you scroll all the way to the top, the gist of it is that it wanted to download Rust up. It like downloads its own version for some reason, and it fails to verify certificate. And how you debug this, you basically take the domain name. If you select the whole thing, it will redirect you to download the binary that we just downloaded from here. But if you open Rust up RS, you can actually go here to connection, and you can open this button. It will show you that there is actually a certificate from Amazon that we cannot verify, Amazon root CA1. So there are many answers like what to do with this error, like installing some packages, reconfiguring things. Not really. Everything we need to do is Amazon root CA1, and we need to open their official page, and we just need to install their root CA. We will download CA1, DER file. This is sensitive file. Keep it open and just install in whatever default location for current user is. Successful. Okay. And if you go back to our PowerShell, second time we should succeed. If you don't install librsvg that requires Rust up download, it will not fail. Just minor hiccup. And some tips how you debug this. Yeah, virtual NICs are fast, but not this fast. I mean, they can be this fast, but this is saying like internet. I'm not downloading stuff at the internet from the internet at speed. The other thing, we will need Rust rover, some IDE to actually write things in. So we will click download. It's still preview. Exe is fine. Yeah. Okay. So you will see like 50 gigabit, 76. Nice. So downloaded all of the dependencies, gvsbuild, and it will start compiling all of the dependencies and things in GTK itself. And in a few minutes, we should have basically things ready to go almost. I guess we can proceed with the steps in the meantime. Yeah, there are some optional things, but basically, what do we have here? Yeah, we added this one. Yeah, we should be good to go. So we have gvsbuild, we compiled it supposedly, and then we need to set environment variables. So let's do that in the meantime. So we, in advanced settings, need to create this environment variable. And then we will go in here. We will create it, a new, and then we need value, which is this path. Okay. And we will paste it in here. So this is the first one we need. And then we need to edit path to add the, and the third one is something I submitted pull request like a day ago to simplify. It was way more complex than that. So path, new, insert. Okay, and then we need to create a lib environment variable that is not there by default, so that it can find some of the libraries when it tries to compile things. So new variable lib, and then this library location where it will compile things in. Okay, so this is good. We just need to wait a little bit longer for this to happen. In the meantime, we can, like, this is basically all we need for the GTK part. So we can switch back to Subspace. We will go to Subspace. Oh, interesting. And in Subspace, we have two crates that we need to look into. Why is scrolling so strange? The first thing is Farmer. If we see Subspace Farmer, there is a README. It basically says we need to have protoc, and we need to have automake libtool and things on Linux, Mac, and on Windows we need to have protoc as well on all platforms, and automake, I guess, to also install. And so there is that. And then if we go to our Subspace node, there are some other dependencies. We need proc, and then we also need similar dependencies. So we need like llvm, cmake, make. So we will just use our chocolatey for the same purpose. So we will write choco install, and then we will have llvm, which will include clang compiler that's necessary for the runtime and some other things. We will have cmake, which is necessary for the NUMA support build. You can disable features, so it will not be necessary. Then we need make, and then we need protoc, which is used for peer-to-peer networking compilation of schemas. So we can install all of these in the meantime. What is this thing doing? Still compiling something. Yes, to all. And our Rust rover should be basically downloaded. I'm not sure why they don't show you downloads in here that we just finished. I think this is an installer. Yeah, it is. Okay, next. We will create a shortcut for desktop and associate Rust files just in case. Yeah, that's sufficient. Okay. Still compiling, and this thing is, oh, administrator, downloading, installing. Yeah, llvm is quite large.
Nazar, did you say that the notes that you're following here we don't have on the Space Acres repository at the moment?
No, not really. But like we mentioned in the Subspace repository, like dependencies that are necessary. But see, there is Ubuntu section, there is macOS section, there is no Windows section because no one is developing really on Windows. It's just me suffering in VMs. But if someone can contribute a section like this, I think it would be helpful. And I will post my quick notes, maybe somewhere on the forum.
That's where I was going. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
someone will pick that up. We'd be really grateful.
Run. Yes, we agree to everything. Okay, so we have Rust rover. I think we don't need browser anymore. One of these two things should complete soon. Okay, so this thing is there is one annoyance. All of the applications that we are installing add themselves to path automatically, the way I mentioned. We don't need to do it manually. However, there is one exception. Exception is cmake. For whatever reason, I created an issue for this already. They are not adding it automatically. So what we need to do, we need to do this stuff, and we need to go to environment variables, find path, and we add that stuff plus bin. There is a bin subdirectory where cmake actually lives. Then we need to save all of this, and we are done with this. And we are done with this. Well, almost. And we just need to wait for GTK to finish compilation. I'm not sure why they did it this way. They basically compile a bunch of tests and utilities and other things. You really don't need them in most cases, but it takes time. So it would be nice if there was an option to not compile that without manual editing of things. It's not actually possible. But yeah, shouldn't take much longer. I think GTK might already be compiled. This is trying to compile librsvg. So let's give it a little bit more time. And yeah, we're almost halfway in. This is why it's so much easier to demonstrate on Linux. You just can install everything in 5 minutes and be ready to go. But it's not too bad. Yeah, this is Rust compilation already. So this machine has 16 cores and 52 gigabytes of RAM. Not much. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to fill this gap. If you missed our previous workshop where we did the same installation process but on Linux, it is available on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to drop a link to it in a second.
Okay, we are close. All right. So the very last step, we close everything and open PowerShell again so that all of the environment variables we've changed are applied. We cd to space acres, and we can try to do cargo run. And fingers crossed, everything will just work. Yeah, it will take some time to actually download the compiler and stuff, but this should be everything we need to get running. And I can understand why it was difficult for someone to kind of figure out all of this undocumented, all of these things. How many developers do we have that are using Windows on a regular basis rather than Linux? I know there are many Mac and Linux developers, but wondering who's developing on Windows.
Jim, I wonder if you primarily use Windows for development purposes.
Yeah, I do. So for my sins, I spent 20 odd years developing on Windows systems. However, I tried to follow the very first version of the docs to build Subspace, and I failed at trying to get GTK to compile. The steps that Nazar's put together are a much more comprehensive guide, trying to use lots of different sources from all over the internet. But yeah, my experience has been that if you develop using the Microsoft stack, you've run into a lot less problems. But yeah, I think that this guide is going to be super useful for anyone who wants to get started on Windows, developing on Space Acres, contributing, and obviously there's a chance to earn with the bounties that are in the board. They're actually listed in the description just below the screen where you're watching this video now. But yeah, I guess building on is a lot easier. Although once you've got your environment set up, all the headaches go away, of course.
Yeah, once you have everything installed, it's basically no different to just cargo run the same way.
Mm.
So since we have some time, I think the issue I'll kind of work on very MVP version of today will be, let me see. There was a suggestion from someone in, I believe, Discord that they have a lot of space pledged, and where is it? Maybe there isn't. Basically, there was a suggestion when they have a lot of space pledged, and their screenshot. We have a few screenshots here from imploding. They basically have a lot of these dots, so much that they have like a few screens worth of scrolling, and they would like to see a summary view of this without seeing all of those dots, or at least have an option to do so. So what we'll try to do is to have some kind of button somewhere that will be able to hide all of these per sector visualizations, so you can see all of the farms, hopefully without any scrolling, on minimum scrolling. And maybe like put it somewhere here. We'll need to think about it. So that's something very, very simple. Oh yeah, you will not see my cursor. Okay. I was showing these blue dots that are under farming, and at the beginning of the farm, I'll have like a button over there to try and have like something clickable to toggle those things. Okay. It complains about this thing. Why does it complain about it? Did I not follow some of the instructions? Let's check. So path should have pkg config in here. Okay, let's check. Always fun when it doesn't work. Advanced system settings. So path, we should have. Yeah, I forgot that. Now we need to add this thing in our path. This is where a lot of stuff that gvsbuild installs are located. Okay, this is something we don't need. New. It wasn't here before, right? Okay. Okay. Let's open and try again. cd space acres, and then we will cargo run. Okay, looks like it's moving forward. This is quite a resource intensive operation, unfortunately. I think it will be using most of the CPU. Yeah. So a few things. We have sectors visualized here. It would be nice if we can actually have scrolling. So what we'll do, we will hack the code a little bit to render kind of more sectors than there is actually in practice. So we can demonstrate this behavior, and then we can see better how it actually works. But for that, we need to actually start the app first. Okay, so the library is compiled. It's just the final binary that's still cooking.
I would definitely this feature as I have 4 farms on Space Acres, and I have to scroll to see the ones that are plotting now. So it'd be great to be able to see. I think this is a really useful feature.
There is no one size fits all. Previously, everyone was wondering like what is happening. Like there is no indication of what is happening. Now we have visualization, but it's too much, at least for some users. So yeah, we have to introduce some of the options into the app so it's more usable.
I don't think we have a bounty to resize the window. I guess that's a bit more complicated because you change the number of.
Actually, no. That's very easy, and I'm like, so there is a reason why it's not resizable. The reason is such that the UI works properly. For example, it's kind of tricky to resize these dots, so they occupy exactly like one line. If you make it bigger, it will actually not resize, at least not naturally. Or like if you have to resize, then you need to write a bunch of code to actually make it happen. What is this? So the reason it is like that is in the main, when we construct a GTK application, let me scroll to it. Init, this is not it. Let's see. Process command. app here. So when we initialize our application, maybe it was there. Okay, let's scroll up. In the init function. Okay, this is about dialog. It was somewhere. This is logging with arguments, settings, minimize on start. Let's scroll up. There is a size configured somewhere. I think it's in the view. Yeah. So in here we have decorated false. So we don't have these like traditional Windows title bar and buttons. We have a native stuff. We have size request. So this is the initial size of the window, and then resizable false. Basically, changing this to true will make it resize. But I believe there is a way, at least on some operating systems, to resize it even this way, which is probably a little bit of a bug, but it is what it is. So that is kind of on purpose. I would be curious if you have like a reason, like a good reason why you want to make it bigger. And I think we can find a solution. Maybe make it resizable. I don't know. There are just some edge cases which will not very nice when you actually make it bigger. Nothing impossible, just trying to simplify as much as possible.
I guess the awkward bit there is that every time you resize, it's got to recalculate how many sectors the width allows.
Yeah, basically we'll have to capture resize event and like re-render them. Right now it's rendered only once at the very beginning. It knows what size it will be, but now it will not be true anymore. So you will have to do more handling. Let me know, should it collapse those sectors by default, or should it show those sectors by default? Like what is the reasonable default?
I would say if you've got more sectors on the default screen, then collapse them, and then you can open which ones you're invested in.
Yeah, you might have one big farm, you have a few small farms. Depending on that, it will fit or not fit. It's just like simple things get complicated so fast.
One of my first ever jobs was to fit text onto a graph, and
that is a very difficult problem, actually. If you were paying attention when we were compiling GTK4, it uses a half buzz, I think, library, which is like de facto standard basically for the text shaping. It is like a very, very difficult problem. There was actually one, I believe, guy that rewrote that in Rust, but it was so hard to actually keep up with upstream, like with all of the changes that people are contributing. And then upstream developer said that if you can bring it in sync again, we will take over maintenance of that, because it's like a very like low level, difficult C++ library, and there are so many things that could go wrong, and you use it basically everywhere. Like every single thing, you need to figure out what is the size of this character. Does it fit, or should it flow onto the next line? Like all of this is a lot of math and a lot of rules, and like there are some which are like how it's called. I forgot the name, but basically sometimes two characters collapse into one, like an I could be like one combined ligatures, the way it's called. And like all of those things is just infinite amount of permutations that you have to deal with. And then there is like left to right, right to left text, and don't get me started.
So yeah, it's actually a very, as you say, very complicated under the bonnet. And eventually a hyphen greater than, things like that,
Yeah.
where they combine.
Yeah.
So it ended up, we had to actually like render the text, put it on a canvas, measure the canvas that was auto fit, and then work out whether we were wide enough to add another character as we were resizing the graph. I'm talking about 20 years ago. There's probably much nicer. Certainly, that was a surprise to me. One of my first commercial development tasks. How kind of raw and painful that was.
So we have this thing installed. We will have to configure it quickly. So I don't want to use a specific reward address. I'll just pick the place which is Alice if you actually try to guess. So we will copy that one. Should be good. By the way, icons work. It didn't work for me on Windows 10. Maybe there is something special about Windows 11. I don't know. Let's just create a directory for the node. Subspace node. We will pick that one. And for the farm, we will have, let's say, 2. So we will create a new directory farm 0, because we are programmers. We count from 0 to gigabytes. And then we will add another one, which will be farm 1. Farm 1. And another 2 gigabytes because that's the minimum. And yeah, start. Yes, we go into internet, allow, small initialization step, and we should be good. Let's open the project in Rust Rover in the meantime. Users, okay. Should be Space Acres on here. Yep. Trust, okay. This is, okay, let's creating farmer. Yeah, the first thing I will change the interface because I cannot stand this one. Maybe I'll get used to it. I don't know. And then in language and frameworks, they have changed everything again for some reason. Where is Rust? It's Rust Rover. Ah, okay, yeah. They have Rust in a separate section now because it's dedicated IDE. And then this is a bug. It shouldn't be necessary, but just how it is. And reformat, yes. Restart. It's taking quite some time. Okay, so we have one farm. The other one is, I think, benchmarking still. So yeah, let's try to do that feature. So the first thing we need to do, by the way, don't disable these tips if you are not using, if you have not used this IDE before, very helpful. The first thing will be to fake rendering of sectors. So let's go to front end and then running farm. We have a farm here, and yeah, it's still loading workspace. Basically, there is a loop in here in initialization, sector rows. It basically tries to render this GTK box, which is basically like a div in in HTML. It tries to render one box for every sector. And what we can do, sectors per row. Yeah, okay. Sectors is capacity, total sectors. Yeah, basically this is fine. It doesn't really care about sectors all that much, I think. So what we can do, we can just change this, I guess, temporarily to, let's say, 2 terabytes worth of sectors. Oh, interesting. What's wrong with numlock? Okay, let's say 2000, and then in space acres we can restart it. Conveniently, it suggests to do so. No, we need to close and recompile it. And it should render way more sectors now. And we should hopefully be able to see the problem. I'm not sure we will have enough time to actually solve the problem, but maybe we can continue it next time. By the way, if you are curious, there are so many issues you can work on. If you are interested, I think we have a label of some kind. Bounty. We have 8 issues right now that you can work on. One of them is occupied. Zolkis, aka Roman, is working on that. All right, let's wait for it to load. Like this. So what we will do, I cannot see this. Okay. What we will do, we will add a button. So these farms are rendered in the running screen, and there is a farmer something. Yeah, let's just add button here. GTK button to do, and then there is a connect, click something, connect, clicked. Yeah. So we will have connect, clicked, and then there are events in this view for the input, running input, collapse sectors, or like toggle sectors, I think toggle sectors. And we will need to have a label. So set label, and we will have something like toggle sectors. In practice, we will want to use something like an icon instead, so it doesn't take so much space. And then this thing is, oh, this is really slow. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So at least this thing is working. So you can see we have 2 farms, but they're already not fitting on the screen. So we can just leave it running in there. And here, yeah, the indexing part is really, really slow. So basically what we want to add this new enum variant to the enum itself. And then we will want to have a handler for that and send a notification to each of our farms and make the section with the sectors actually optionally visible. And then when we toggle it once, it will flip from visible to invisible and then back. So that is the goal anyway. Preparing data for name resolution. Okay. That is really, really slow. Maybe this thing is helping it. Yeah, let's close it for now. Hmm. I'm really not sure what it is doing. Let's just restart it. Is it possible? Rust rubber. Wow. Okay. So we have our farm. We can go to invariant here and stick to state input. Toggle sectors. And then we need to update the handling of this farm widget input. And here, what we'll do, we'll iterate over each farm, or rather, we will send like a broadcast message. I think there is a broadcast message in here. Sector update, sector expiration. Oh, this is not in here. This is in running. Oh, how fun. It didn't actually save anything I was doing. Okay. Toggle sectors, and then here HTK button, connect, clicked, running your input, something like that. Running input, okay.
I think we just lost Nazar. Let's maybe wait for a couple of minutes, give him a chance to join back.
Yep, looks like we've lost Nazar to me too.
Yep, sorry guys, I think I was disconnected from here. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, no worries, Nazar.
So we need to handle toggle sections. There should be a broadcast thingy. Let me find it. There is an example. Yeah. So basically, every time we click, we will send a message for the farm itself, toggle sectors. So I guess we still need it there. So that should be good. And then in the farm, we will need toggle sectors, and sectors show the equals not self. Sectors show So this will be our change. Sectors show will need to be introduced. So in here, this will be Boolean. Probably should be named something better, but I'm lazy. And it will be initially true, let's say. So we will render all of them by default. And then we need to find where we actually place them visually. So there is a plotting state, idle state, rows in here. So I guess we can just wrap it in another box, GTK box, and then it will be inside. And this box set visible will be self sector show. And then we will say that the realm 4 library should watch for the value of this sector show and re-render when it changes. So hopefully just like that, we will be able to achieve what we want, and hopefully it compiles. Oh, expected semicolon, a comma. Which file is it? Running 75. Running 75. Sure. Should be comma here. I really like the compiler. It tells you exactly what you need, exactly where you need. Have you tried to compile templates in C++, like ever? It is not fun.
I'd say that the compiler messages is definitely one of Rust's super. What? They're amazing. Okay.
I agree. On Linux, I can install alternative linker like mold. That like this step we are in right now, it's likely not actually compiling. It puts together all of the sub libraries from which application is composed of. There is like Rust and mold. It comes nicely together. There is, well, mold linker. Yeah, this one. This is basically a linking application that is way faster than the GNU Gold linker and GNU LD and llvm LD even. So basically, it puts together an app much faster, so you can actually iterate on your development much higher pace. So hopefully a few more moments. Okay. Yep, and toggle sectors works. It should be like an icon, and probably not here, but somewhere else. But the button works, so that's what we wanted to achieve. I think we are out of time for today. So thanks everyone, and I'm open for suggestions. What should we do next time? Back to you, Emil.
Yeah, appreciate you, Nazar. And it's always a pleasure having you over to our developer office hours. Really, really huge thank you for taking the time and doing the workshop for us. Yeah, and as Nazar pointed out, we are absolutely excited to host another workshop next Wednesday at the same time, dedicated to Space Acres contributions. If there is any particular issue, topic you'd like us to cover, please feel free to drop a question or your suggestions in the developer channel, and we'll be happy to address it. If you feel empowered to contribute yourself, please feel free to scroll through the GitHub issues, pick one, pick a suitable task for you, work on it, and store some USDC for it. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.